If you've seen Princess and the Frog, then you probably know what gumbo is. My name's Jaxson, Washington, and today I'm going to show you how to actually make it. I've been cooking with my mom since I was about 4 or 5, and I've been cooking on my own since I was about 8 or 9. Gumbo is one of the most famous dishes of Cajun cooking. The first thing you want to do is prep your food. But before you can do anything cooking, you have to wash your hands. Now that we've that done, let's get prepping our food. First, I'm going to be cutting the celery. I'll be cutting it in bunches, about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch thick. Whenever you're using a knife, you need to be sure to be very careful about where your fingers are, because this could risk cutting yourself. Next, we'll be moving on to our onions. Another warning, whenever you're cutting onions, you're probably gonna cry. Next, I'm just gonna dump this in with the celery. Next, I'm gonna show you how to prepare the green bell peppers. After you're done chopping those, you can dump them in here with the rest of your vegetables. Now I'll be showing you how to prep parsley. You can add those in with the rest of your vegetables. Now I'll be showing you how to prepare the garlic. Put it in our little garlic press here. Next, we'll be preparing the meat. First, I'm going to be starting with the andouille sausage. Now I'll be showing you how to prep the rotisserie chickens. First, I'm going to take off the leg and thigh. Now I'll be removing the skin because the chicken just kind of falls apart in the cooking process, and you don't just want that random skin floating around. It's kind of gross. So now to remove the meat from the chicken. Now to remove the meat from the rotisserie chicken. Since it's already cooked, it pretty much just falls off the bone. So I just pull it off and dump it in there with sausage. You want to try not to get too much of the cartilage in there with it, because that'll just be really tough and can't really chew it. So just make sure you're getting the actual meat off. Next, I'm taking off the breast meat. What you do is you find that kind of edge, like the rib bone, and you start cutting down the side of the rib cage until you get the breast to come off, like so. Now, same with the legs and thighs. I'm going to remove the skin, and for the breast, we're just going to chop it up a little bit. And I'll do the same with the other breast. Next, I'll move on to the next chicken, doing the exact same steps. The shrimp were already prepared in the bag. Now, we get to start on the roux. To make the roux, we will be mixing flour and cooking oil over medium-low heat. Constantly stirring it until it turns kind of a dark brown color with almost like a cookie dough-like texture. The purpose of the roux is it thickens the gumbo. Another thing about the roux is the darker the color, the richer the flavor will be. Now the roux is starting to brown up real nice, and just keep stirring it Once it's about done, we'll just turn off the heat, stir it up a little bit so it doesn't burn. Now I'm going to be heating up the sausage in this large skillet with a little bit of oil over medium heat. Now that our pan is heated up, we will dump our sausage in. Now as those cook, we'll continue stirring them, just getting them brown, a little crispy on the outside so it gives a little bit of a texture when you're eating the gumbo. Now whenever you're cooking on a stove or an oven, anything that involves heat, you need to take the proper precautions in that and be extra careful to not burn yourself. As those continue cooking, we're going to add our broth to the big pot. We're going to save about half a cup to use to deglaze the pan after we're done cooking the sausage. Now I'll be dumping all of the remaining chicken broth into the pot. Don't forget to continue stirring the sausage so it doesn't burn. Now we'll add our vegetables. Once the sausage is browned a little bit, you'll turn the heat off. The pan is going to be very hot, so to not burn ourselves, we're going to be using hot pads. Grab it on either side, and we're just going to jiggle it and dump the sausage into there, as well as add our chicken and the shrimp. To deglaze the pan, we're going to dump that about half cup of chicken broth that we took out of there. Just dump it in the pan. Let that kind of get all the pork fat and gristle out of there. And just dump that in with the rest. Now we'll continue mixing our gumbo. We'll be adding some salt. Now a lot of people just think that salt makes your food salty, but it actually helps blend all the flavors together and bring out some of the flavors in the other foods that weren't previously there. Now we'll add some pepper. The gumbo's been cooking for a while. We're gonna add our seasonings. Gonna add a lot of Cajun seasoning. Some paprika, some chili powder, or cayenne. And mix that all in. And now let it sit for a little bit longer until the vegetables start to soften up a little bit more. So now that I know it's done, because of the celery, I'll turn off the heat and let it cool for a while. Now that our gumbo is cooled off a bit, you can see it's real nicely colored, and you can see the chicken's kind of broken down and mixed in there. And we will be serving it over some rice. Here we go. It's very good. Now that we're done, I'd just like to say I hope you learned something about, throughout my presentation today, and I hope I inspired you to cook a dish of your own.